Evening, everybody. Monday night, excuse me, Monday night, 6:30. That can only mean it's the Rangers Rabble Women's Show, and I'm delighted to be joined tonight by Car and Alan, and I will always introduce them in that order so that people don't think I've got a very, very poor comedian with me. Car, good evening. How are you?
That's funny. Yeah, good.
And Alan, how's things?
Things are good. Thanks.
Delighted to see you've got your dinner finished. None of it's in your beard just before you came on there, so that's good. That was
Yes. So that was an emergency check just before.
Right. Good. That's why we were almost a bit late coming on, but we're here now. So, good evening, Paul in the comments. Paul's always here. Always delighted to have you, Paul. I'm sure you'll have plenty to say as we go on because you're never shy in putting the comments in. So don't be shy, folks. Throw the comments in. Stick your likes in if you don't already. Share and subscribe and all that sort of nonsense that Martin goes on about all the time. Anyway, we're here to talk about yesterday's quite turgid, I think, 6-1 victory over Dundee United. We'll get into the meat and bones of the game shortly, but it wasn't the most entertaining afternoon, was it?
It wasn't, and I think because Joe made so many changes, I think that's what caused it to be a bit sticky and not a great first half anyway. Maybe whole game, not entirely our best performance, but we'll take what we can get. We won 6-1, so I can't be too mad about that.
Yeah, Alan, 10 changes. I think I made it. Only Jenna 5 kept her place from the win over Celtic.
Yeah, far more changes than I expected to see. I thought it was a good chance to give minutes to players that need game time, but I didn't expect to see quite so many changes. And not entirely surprising seeing a change of shape, although the actual way we played that shape was a wee bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it was. We seem to change it back as well. After about half an hour, we seem to go to 4 at the back. But I'll get to that because a friend of mine got a message from a mutual friend of ours whose daughter plays for the club, and asked him to ask me my opinion. And I think he absolutely nailed it on how she played. And I won't name the player, but I'll let you guess who the player is when we get to it. Anyway, the team that lined up yesterday, as we say, 10 changes from last week against Celtic. The only player that kept her place in the team was Jenna Fife in goal. And in front of Jenna was Tess Medag. I'm going to try this with both. I'm going to make a mess of this because when I put first names in, I always make a mess of it. Tess Medag, Laura Rafferty, Ailey Austin, Mia McCauley, Lizzie Arnott, Megan Bell, Camille Lafay. And I heard her, I don't know if you've listened to the Heart and Hand Daily Update today, but Colin calls her something and I've got no idea what it is, but it's not anything like Lafay. But anyway, Camille Lafay, Chelsea Cornett, who led the team out as captain today, yesterday, which was nice to see. Kirsty Howitt and Jane Ross up front. As we say, 10 changes, much more than we expected.
Yeah, I mean, I thought there maybe be a few changes. I didn't quite expect Ailey and certainly not Megan to be starting the game. So certainly interesting. I guess it makes sense. It's Dundee United. In theory, it should be one that we can put, a raft of changes out and be okay. But the last Dundee United game, we did the same thing and we really struggled to score for about 80 minutes. So kind of had disaster written all over it for a wee while, but we got there.
Yeah, before we carry on, Jacksy's vlogs just finished an exam. I hope it went all right for you. I hope you I don't know what the exam is, but I hope you absolutely aced it. Alan's our exam man, so if you need any pointers in exam, he's the man. He seems to be our man for everything else. He was our B team expert, having never been to a B team game before. I thought that was an all-time Rabble classic. So Alan, game started, as we said, it was a bit kind of turgid. The first thing I note really was Kirsty Howitt missed a couple of chances. She missed particularly she slid one past the right-hand post. The left-hand post, which she really should have scored.
I really had to go and target, and the ball was across for Jane. Great option. Jane would have had a tap in, but as you said at the game, any striker worth her salt is taking the shot on. But she's got to work keeper. I think Kirsty was probably guilty yesterday of snatching at chances. The amount of chances we had that trickled past the post, could have put a very different complexion on the game. And we're not looking at it being so turgid and so much of a slog. But what was most interesting about the team, when I saw the lineup, I was quite interested to see how we'd line up midfield with Megan and Camille playing central. So quite interesting seeing sort of Chelsea holding and two in front, because we're used to seeing two sitting and then only one in front playing just off the strikers. So we're seeing it, Carl, on the supporters group podcast. I think that's a wee bit of an experiment in how we'll fit Chelsea, Liv and Kirsten McLean into the team.
Yeah, I mean, James Card, I'll put the right one up. James Fellows makes a comment here. The first half was like watching the men's game from the previous day. That takes us on to the opening goal, which I think I actually commented that's just like yesterday when Dundee United were up the park for the first time in the game, and Jenna for some reason came and stayed, then slipped, and the lassie just had an empty net to roll the ball into.
Yeah, I think the defenders need to do better before it even gets to that point. But if Jenna's going to come out, she needs to commit to it and just come the whole way out, because she kept stopping, as you say, and then she thought, no, I need to go back here, started running backwards and then just fell on her backside, which, our goalkeepers seem to have a habit of doing. I don't know what they're putting on the goal lines at Broadwood and other parks, but for some reason they get to the white line and they trip. But not ideal, but really the defender should have dealt with that. Raf and Tesh should have dealt with that before it got to that point. But she's always going to score from there once Jenna's fallen down. She just needs to dink it over into the back of the net. But horrendous.
Yeah, from memory, I don't think it's just Broadwood. I'm sure the same thing happened to Petershill last season against Glasgow City when I think it was that occasion, wasn't it?
It's almost like there's a tripwire across the 18-yard line as soon as the keepers try and backpedal over it, they're falling. But I think it had to be dealt with before it got anywhere near Jenna. But see, my view was that Jenna thought it was going further than it did, and that's why she backed off. If you look at a lot of balls we played forward for Mia in the first half, they were overhit. They ran far and they ran past Mia. Going on other direction, the ball didn't carry quite as far, so I think that's maybe caught Jenna out a wee bit, but she's got to expect Tess and Laura Rafferty to deal with it. It's food and drink for her.
Yeah, she has, but you've got to also think that she's been in the game long enough. She must have realised that we had the wind at the back in the first half, so the ball's getting played out towards Mia, where getting caught in the wind and carrying. So anything coming the other way is probably going to hold up a little bit, and it held up. So anyway, we won't labour too much on the fact that the goal we lost was an absolute howler, as they tend to be. Alan, I'll stick with you. The equaliser. Camille puts the ball into Kirsty Howitt, who kind of tries to have a pop at it. Keeper gets their foot in the way. It comes back off Kirsty, out to Jane Ross, who that's what Jane Ross does.
Yeah, there's got to be no mistake for Jane Ross for that range, but it was typical of the game. Dundee United put everything on the line in the box, and we actually did quite well right through the game, keeping the ball alive in the box, and it made it for quite a scrappy game. It was quite scrappy as a spectacle, but we've done well and we've ended up with getting some goals, but keeping the ball alive and not letting them get the ball clear. But that was a case. You thought Kirsty would go through and score, but she was just too close to the keeper. It manages to somehow force it through to Jane, and Jane's got space in the box, and Jane Ross with space in the box has got to find the back of the net.
Yeah, and Carl, not too long after that, Kirsty Howitt, having slipped a decent chance past the left-hand post, slips a decent chance past the right-hand post. When Megan goes on a run, slips the ball to her, and again, Kirsty should be hitting the target, but she rolls it by the post.
Yeah, I mean, Kirsty's a confidence player. I think she needs a few goals to settle herself down, but for some reason yesterday she just couldn't. The easy goals that she really just needed to roll it past the goalkeeper into the back of the net, and she just couldn't do it for some reason. So maybe, now that she's got one at the end of the game, as we'll come on to, she'll be all right after the international break. But it's one of those, especially, earlier before that, you think that's 100% certain she's going to score from that. She has to. It's harder to miss, but for some reason she just could not find the back of the net yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, that one particularly. I mean, I was out my seat and celebrating it going in as it rolled past the post. But Alan, we didn't have to wait too long to actually take the lead. Again, Jane Ross doing Jane Ross thing from about 25 yards.
Yeah, it was really good work on the right wing by Ellie Austin coming forward. She she's moved the ball through and across to Jane. Just took a step inside and just thought, I'm going to have a hit here. And left foot, probably about 25 yards, and absolutely brilliant strike. Maybe keeper's a bit unsighted. It went through a couple of players, but absolutely brilliant to see is actually taking shots to distance, because we complain a lot, and we have complained a lot this season. We don't do that enough.
Yeah, certainly do. And then obviously, just as it's getting, that's us 2-1 in the league, getting towards half time, Carl. And once we win the lead against a team like Dundee United, really there shouldn't be any way back for them. And right on half time, talk us through Camille's pile driver.
Mate, Kirsty gets taken out of the play. It's a free kick, takes it quickly. Megan, cross comes shot. I mean, Alan thinks it's a shot. It probably is realistic.
I think it's a shot.
Hits off the corner where the crossbar meets the post and bounces back off. And Camille's there just to run into the ball, and it follows her into the back of the net. I mean, it's a poacher's goal. I suppose she's in the right place, and all she needs to do is run onto it to get it in the back of the net. But that shot from Megan is just unreal. But that's what Megan does, and why it annoys me so much that she doesn't get as much game time as she probably should.
Alan, I think Paul's getting a wee bit harsh at the keeper. Her socks are on the line. I think she sort of just bundled the ball, the keeper, a lot into the net. Just the way she, as Carl says, she just followed. I mean, it really is a poacher's goal. It just shows you that if somebody takes a shot, you've just got to follow it in, and who knows where it's going to end up.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeper's just made an effort to sort of grab and just do anything to get a block on. But for somebody that's as small in stature as Camille, she's got a great instinct for getting into the right areas. And I certainly hope we see more from Camille. We've obviously only got her for a year, so hopefully we see more of her and she continues to develop. But to see a midfielder with that sort of instinct to sort of get forward and into these areas is brilliant. It's going to bring us goals.
Right, I'll throw it straight back to you. See, we've only got her for a year because she's only signed a year's contract, but she is our player. I think, is that right? She's not on loan.
Yeah, she's absolutely.
So there is scope there to sign her. Longer term if she impresses.
Oh, absolutely, and I think she's done well in reasonably limited game time so far. So I think she handles the physical side of the game quite well in Scotland. It's always a concern when you bring somebody in from abroad who's built outside of a fiver, but she's doing really well.
Yeah, we'll get all the funny ones out tonight. Right, Carl, here's a comment from John B. It's good to see Mia McCauley getting on the score sheet, which she did. She got the first goal of the second half to make it 4-1, which we'll talk through the goal in a second. He says she hasn't had the best of seasons. I'm not quite sure I would agree with that.
No, I wouldn't agree with that either. I think she's not scored as many goals as she did last season, but I think she's been doing a lot of the other hard work, creating chances. I mean, bombing up and down wings, left and right, no matter where she's asked to play, she's doing that kind of thing, taking players on, maybe not to the same extent as last season. She's not maybe as keen to take players on as she normally would be, but I certainly don't think she's having a bad season. I think maybe if you're not going to all the games, potentially, because you wouldn't see the hard work that she's doing from highlights and whatnot, potentially, but I don't think it's a bad season from her at all.
Alan, Paul picks a point here. She's doing a different job to what she's done in the past.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I mean, I think Camille will tell you herself, she's not been quite as confident as she was last season, but, part of the reason she's not having such regular game time is because Brogan Hay and Lizzie Arnott have been absolutely fantastic this season. Yeah. And that's a big part of it. So Mia's doing a lot of hard work, and you see the players are quite heavily under instruction. You can see the way they're playing the game. They've got places to be, certain things to do, and sometimes that will sort of dampen a wee bit of freedom. But Mia's put in a tremendous amount of work, and it eventually paid off for her yesterday.
Yeah, and I mean, as Carl touched on earlier, the amount of ball, especially in the first half, that they threw over towards them, they just got caught in the wind. They were just slightly overhit. Mia she just couldn't get at them. She tried and tried and tried. She just couldn't get at them. But Alan, as I say, Alan, Mia got the fourth goal. Nice assist for Ellie Austin, and as I say, Mia makes it 4-1.
Definitely, Mayor had a very similar chance, probably about 2 or 3 minutes before that, and you really thought maybe it's just not going to be Mayor's day. And that she was threatening. She was in good positions, and it just wasn't quite happening for her. But once Haley squared that ball across, it deflected off one or two defenders, but Mayor just composed herself, took a touch, and then found the space in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean,
And I
obviously,
think that removed any slight lingering doubt, if there even was any, made it 4-1 and just slowed the game up.
yeah, we should obviously say that at half time, Cathy Hill came on for Tess Middag, because we'd gone from three at the back, or whatever system we was trying to get played in the first half hour. After about half an hour, we went to 4 at the back, and it seemed Cathy just came on for Tess just to make it a bit more solid at the back. Would that be a fair assessment, Car? I know we're jumping back a bit, but...
Yeah, I think so. I think we knew Cathy was going to come on because she was already stripped and ready to go before halftime even came about. So maybe didn't expect to go back to a back four, but I think that does offer us more freedom for the wingers, so to speak, fullbacks, whatever you want to call them, to get further up the pitch, and then leaves a couple in behind to kind of do the defensive work. Not that we needed much defensive work done yesterday, really.
No, but then Alan, obviously, 10 minutes or so into the second half, Megan Bell and Camille Lafay got sacrificed for Innie and Wilco coming on.
Not the worst subs in the world to bring on, is it? But very interesting to see Kate Wilkinson dropping deeper and playing central midfield. She can clearly play there, but it certainly takes a lot of her game away. Seeing her play in there.
Yeah, I mean, we did say the bench was really, really strong. I mean, instead of the other two substitutes were Rio Hardy for Jane Ross after 70 minutes and Jodie McCleary coming on for Chelsea Cornet just about 12 or 13 minutes from time. It just tells you just exactly how strong the bench was yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the whole starting 11, well, not the whole, but most of them were on the bench. So you're probably better doing it the other way around, starting with the strongest and then going to the bench. But Dundee United players were already struggling with cramp and looked exhausted at that point, and then you're bringing, the likes of Katie Wilkinson, who's already scored 25 goals this season. Kirsty McLean, who's just a terror to anybody that she plays against, and then Rio Hardy, who's a goal machine as well. They must be terrified.
Yeah, so I mean, you say Katie Wilkinson scores lots of goals. We get a corner, and one of us, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been you, Carl. Why did we not just throw the ball into the box? Because we've stopped throwing the ball into the box, and Lizzie Arnott threw the ball into the box, and Carl, it's over to you.
Well, she kicked it into the box because if she threw it, I don't know if that counts. I don't know the rules about long throwing.
You know what I mean?
Kicks it in, and for once, not a Katie Wilkinson header, but she kind of jumps and kicks the ball into the back of the net. Which I don't know why we haven't been doing that more often. Teams seem to have figured out our short corner routine, which wasn't paying off yesterday and hasn't really been paying off for a few games now. So when Lizzie's on and taking corners, I don't know why she doesn't just do that, because Lizzie scored directly from a corner in previous seasons. So I don't know why we don't just do that. Wilco's in the box ready to stick her head or leg or whatever onto it to score goals. So I don't know why we don't just do more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Alan, obviously, we get a few more chances. Kirsty McLean's running riot, as she tends to do. And then having scored the third goal in the 4th minute of stoppage time at the end of the first half, it's just going out the 4th minute of stoppage time at the end of the game. And Raf plays the ball to Kirsty Howitt. Defender comes in, Stonewall penalty. And then Kirsty gets their goal.
Yeah, and I think I was really good. The team, we were debating whether or not it would be Rio or Katie to take the penalty. They seem to have been sharing penalty taking duties this season, but I thought it was quite a nice touch, given it were 5-1 up. Gave the ball to Kirsty, who'd won the penalty. Played her heart out all day and not been able to score, so Kirsty's taking the penalty and pretty much the last meaningful kick of the ball in the game. She sends the keeper the wrong way. 6-1, it's not the worst result in the world, and we probably left a lot of goals on the park that we should have scored, but overall, not the worst day at the office.
No, certainly not the worst day at the office. So, it finishes 6-1. Comfortable enough in the end, although, as we say, it's probably, for me, I'd start with the strongest team, particularly with international break coming up. But as Paul points out in the comments, the French players do need minutes. So, I mean, we got away with it again. Alan touched on it earlier. We did the same up at Foundation Park earlier in the season and really struggled against Dundee United, but put them away in the end. So, Alan, I've not had a chance to listen to your other podcast yet because you've not long recorded it. So, I know you did the media for that after it. Was there a reason that Jay did the pressers rather than Joe, or was it just to give Joe a rest?
There was no sort of reason given. You know, it was nice to sort of chat with Jay. You know, it's rare that you see Jay doing the media and, you know, coming out. But, you know, they've been very happy with the form, you know, the last few weeks since the last international break. You know, I think we'd all spoke about how much we needed that last break. You know, we hate international breaks in general, but, you know, I think the last one came at a good time when we badly needed it. And we've came back, we've played really well, we've got good results. You know, last week was obviously massive. You know, we've got back to scoring goals. So, you know, Jay seemed quite happy with some of the work we've been doing. She did talk about working and training during the week about taking shots for distance. You know, we've seen that with Jane. We've seen Jodie do it a lot more than usual when she came on in the last 12, 13 minutes. So that is thankfully something we've been working on.
Yeah. Right, as I mentioned earlier, I got a message from a friend of mine who's a mutual friend is the father of one of our players. So, Carl, see if you can guess who the player is. I'll read out what he sent to him yesterday. The only reason he sent it to me was he actually mentions me in it. So it was, I feel she played well. I'm a biased dad, though. Wilf will give you a more honest assessment of her, was what he said. That's why it was sent to me. I thought, especially when they moved back to a back four midway through the first half, the player concerned was probably the most attacking threat, especially first half. If I say the rest of it, you're going to know who it was because it mentions a couple of things that happen. So who do you think that is? Do you any idea?
Ailey, no?
That's it there. That's Paul says that it was Ailey's dad.
Yeah.
Because the other thing he says is assist for Mia's goal, and he could say assist for Jane's second goal that hit from 20 yards, which was actually 25 yards, but I won't hold that against him. So yeah. So do you agree with his assessment of his daughter's performance?
Well, yeah, but I'm also biased because she's one of my favourite players. But, I mean, I gave her a player of the match in our podcast. She won player of the match from the supporters group poll on Twitter. Alan gave her player of the match as well. So I think that's a fair assessment that she was everywhere. She was involved in just about everything. In the second half, once, you know, it settled a bit and maybe with other players coming on that she plays kind of better alongside, she was just doing everything. She's bombing up and down that left-hand side. The assist, as you say, I want to give her the one for Jane's goal. I mean, I know it's contentious. Did someone else touch it prior, you know, after? But she was everywhere. And for me, she was exceptional, but she always is.
Alan, do you agree? I mean, I thought, as Ailey's dad said in the message he sent to a friend of mine, and I'm sorry for using that. If any of the two of them are upset that I used it, but there you go, it was sent to me. So as far as I'm concerned, I can use it. I thought first, until it went to flat four, I don't think she was really that involved in the game, particularly. And I was a little bit surprised she came back out for the second half. But I'm glad she was because she did come on to a great one. I agree, she probably was the best player on the park overall, over the whole. You know, certainly.
I said on our pod just earlier that I was told between Ailey and Chelsea for player of the match. You know, I leant towards Ailey purely because she played the 90 minutes. You know, I thought Ailey grew into the game. I thought, you know, she was a wee bit shaky to start with, but I thought the full team there. You know, concern was always when we start like that in a game, Ailey ends up being the one sacrificed at half time to bring on the experience, which is sometimes unfair. You know, it's sometimes not deserved, and you know, it doesn't give Ailey a chance to develop and grow into the games. You know, I think Ailey will sometimes be a wee bit rash, still going for a ball, but one of Ailey's biggest strengths is our recovery. Not just the recovery pace, but our ability to get back and actually win the ball and win it cleanly when she's coming back, when somebody goes past her. So, you know, that's massive. I never felt in a game we went to a proper flat back four, but with Chelsea sitting in a bit more, it gave Ailey a bit more freedom to go forward. And she works so well with Mia down the right wing. You know, it's a great wee partnership that could bear fruits for us for years to come.
Yeah, it really is, and I think it really could, Karen. It does show a lot of confidence that the management team have got in her, and the fact that, I mean, she was a bit shaky at the start, as we say. I mean, I think it was you, Alan, that said no, she was quite a heavy touch at the start of the game. The ball, she didn't seem to be able to kind of get the ball under control too much right at the very beginning of the game. But the fact that they kept her on and they persisted with her, you know what I mean, and she did come onto a game and just shows the faith they've got, not just in Ailey, but in all the young players.
Yeah, I mean, Ailey is our future. I mean, they all are, the young players, but especially when you look at the likes of, you know, Nick Dock and Leah Eddy, Kathy Hill, you know, whoever else you've got in there. Ailey is the future of that, so give her as many minutes as you can now so she gets used to whatever systems, you know, we've gone from, you know, 3 at the back to 4 at the back, at times 5 at the back. So she'll get used to that system. So the more minutes you get, the more confidence she'll get. But even if you compare it to the Inverness performance last season in the Cup, when Ailey really got her first minutes, to now, she's improved dramatically from then. And she's just come on leaps and bounds. I mean, she's not scared to take a shot on, which is always nice when, you know, your backline's taking shots. But as Alan said, her work rate, her recovery time, she's not scared to put a tackle and get involved in everything, and doesn't go down very easily when players are all over, which they were yesterday.
Yeah, that's a nice wee segue mentioning the cup, because obviously the next game up after the international break is a trip up my way to West Dyke, and anybody that's got a women's season ticket will, I'm assuming, have had the email asking whether they intend to go to the game or not, to try and, because obviously the club are in discussions, it would appear, with West Dyke over being able to them being able to facilitate the game at their ground, which I went to visit for the first time the other day. I mean, I've driven past it hundreds of times, didn't even know it was there, because it's tucked away in a little corner of West Hill, literally across half a field from Aberdeen's training ground. That's how close it is. I mean, a well-directed clearance would probably put it into one of the pitches in Cormac Park, and vice versa. But it is behind a fence, which I didn't realise it was, so they can facilitate it there and charge people to get in. I don't know how big it is round about it, because you obviously can't access it. Alan, the thing for me was they sent out an email saying, "Are you planning to attend?" But nobody knows the kick-off time.
Yeah, it's quite sort of difficult for people to say, you know, but fair play that the club are at least trying to sort of gauge numbers before they get a plan. It's obviously got to be an issue for getting access, you know, and how many people can actually safely watch a game, but also actually get into the place. You know, some places are particularly tight for getting into. You know, even K Park's horrible to get into.
Yeah.
You know, despite having a capacity to hold it, but you know, not being familiar with where West Dyke are playing, cover obviously have some concerns about the game going ahead there. So they need to get an idea of numbers, and then we can get sort of kick-off time confirmed and the venue confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much the ground I don't know how much the ground holds. I don't know how many people you can get round it, because you can't get access obviously through the fence, and it's surrounded with trees on one side and a field on the other. There is a massive car park outside it, because that's where I took the photo that I posted from, was from the car park outside it. Having said it's massive, it probably holds as many cars as K Park does, so it's not particularly that big. It's quite a big area, but obviously you need to leave the car so they can get in and out. So I'm not sure I think that might be quite challenging for them. But it'll be interesting. But as you say, it's nice, Carl, that the club are actively trying to, you know, get into discussions. I mean, I spoke to Mary yesterday before the game at Broadwood, and she said part of the reason they're wanting to try and, you know, look at, obviously the men's first team at Ross County that day at 12 o'clock. So the way she was talking, it sounds like it could possibly be after full time and that, to give people a chance to potentially watch the game on their way up on their phone or whatever. But obviously if they're not driving.
No, well, I don't do anything illegal on the Rabble here. We wouldn't condone that. It's just, I think it's Donald. Since Donald's come down to the club, fixture clashes is being dealt with and being sorted. Things like this is being looked into. You know, we've never had an email asking us how many people are looking to attend any fixture that I can ever remember. So I don't think it's ever happened. So I think it's a credit to Donald and obviously the fan advisory board or whatever they're called. I'm not really sure the terms of them, but they're obviously all working together to try and get as many people, you know, wanting to watch the women's team. If they could stream games, that would also be helpful, but to get as many people along to games as possible is a good thing. So if they can figure that out so that it'd be possible for people to be able to at least watch both. That would be great.
Yeah, I mean, Alan, it's obviously it's one of them. It isn't going to be possible, I don't think, to attend both. That would be stretching it a little bit. I mean, the women's game would need to kick off at tea time. You know what I mean, or breakfast time. And I don't think that's particularly feasible. But it is nice because obviously they're looking at trying to get. They need to give the time for our team to get there and to get home again without it being, ludicrous, because it is a long way for them to travel. It's quite an easy place to get to because it's only about half a mile off the WPR, which is the main kind of the new road that sort of skirts around Aberdeen, so that's not too bad. So I mean, I know you two are both planning to attend it. I'm assuming you're both planning to attend it. Unfortunately, I won't be able to because I'll hopefully be in Dingwall. But it is, as you say, it is nice that the club are doing stuff like this.
Yeah, I'm torn between wanting an early kickoff and wanting a late kickoff. I'm night shifting on Saturday night, like I always seem to be every time we travel up to Aberdeen. So, the fixture gods are not always very kind to me, but I think it'll affect the attendance and people willing to travel if it is a later kickoff. Bear in mind the amount of families that go, and the time we get home after a late kickoff and kids at school the next day. I think kick-off time will be key to getting numbers in. Although you're sacrificing any chance of them getting to Dingwall back to Aberdeen.
Yeah, but I think the other consideration of the kick-off time's got to be the potential for weather kiboshing the game. Because if the kick-off's too early, and the weather takes a turn overnight or whatever, even if they call it off, say the game's at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, and they call the game off at 8, people have already left and started travelling, which isn't ideal. There's never an ideal scenario when a game gets called off, but they have to obviously consider the weather as well, given where it is, because it is quite exposed to where it is as well.
Yeah, I wonder if they're potentially looking at other venues then, if, say they do get a good response and a lot of people want to go, if they potentially would move it to somewhere nearby that's, maybe more of an actual ground that potentially have under sort of heating or something to that effect, which would make it, a bit more likely to go ahead. But, it's December, it's Scotland, it's up north especially. I mean, the only games we've ever had called off are against Aberdeen, so there is the potential for that if the weather takes a turn again, but hopefully we're not in that boat. But yeah, as you say, people probably would have to leave at close to 7 o'clock in the morning to get there in time for, say, a 12 o'clock kickoff, so they wouldn't be able to do a pitch inspection prior to it, so it'd need to be called off basically the night before, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, the weekend past here showed that how quickly the weather can change. Because I mean, Saturday was ludicrous. I mean, Perth was horrific on the way down on Saturday, and then by the time the men's game against Dundee United finally got played and got finished and got back to Perth, there was nothing. Snow was all gone. So it's that quick. So they couldn't even look at it on like the Saturday and say, well, the game's off because Sunday the pitch could be playable. You just don't know. But anyway, before we go on and touch on the internationals which are coming up, because I know you guys are well invested in that, Paul, who's always good with the questions, do we think for next season we need to look at a new keeper? I think we've touched on this on more than one occasion, Alan. I think that we need a new keeper.
I'd confidently say we will absolutely have a new keeper next summer. I adore Jenna and Vic, but I think we've all seen it doesn't transmit to the defence and be confident that we're going to go on a run of clean sheets. I think I've absolutely no doubt the club will go out and bring in a new keeper. And I'm very surprised it didn't happen in the summer. But we can't go another summer where we don't improve on that position.
Carl, could it potentially happen in January?
I mean, unless some club out there wants to get rid of their keeper, if we potentially brought one in January, maybe be one that, well, unless there is a few leagues that finish, I guess, early in America and such, so potentially, but I doubt it. I think they'll fully wait till the summer, see who's staying, see who's going, what the script is with contracts and that, and then they'll be able to weigh up, squad-wise, but I think it's 100% an area that we need to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's, I mean, as I say, the next game we've got is that West Light game in the Cup on it's scheduled to be the 8th of December. So Alan, obviously next weekend is the international playoff. Scotland playing against Norway, I think. Is that right?
Finland.
Norway was the last time, wasn't it? I don't know. Go on, Alan. Talk to us about the Scotland squad and the Rangers players in it, because I don't really keep my eye on it.
I keep a sort of loose eye on it. You know, I think Scotland are flying right now. You know, I think we're in a really good place. You know, I think we've got a draw there that gives us a real chance of progressing, getting to the Euros in Switzerland next summer. You know, I think this playoff coming so soon off the back of the last one, you know, the players will still be flying. You know, I'm a bit annoyed that Cathy's not in the squad, you know, not getting a chance, but we know Pedro's a full and low player anyway. But, you know, that's a discussion for a sort of another day, and we can get further into that. But I think you've got so many big players coming back into fitness for Scotland. You know, I think Emma Watson will be a star for Scotland once she really gets going. You know, she's getting back on the pitch and she's been involved. You know, concern for us that Chelsea's going away when she's just back for such a long layoff, but you know, Chelsea's established herself as a starter for Scotland, you know, in the last year or so, you know, and it's been brilliant to see. It's testament to the hard work that she's put in and development in her game. But Caroline Weir's a difference maker, you know, she's back. You know, Nick was flying, you know, when I saw the Scotland game last time at Easter Road. So I think we're in a good place. It's a draw that gives us a challenge, but it gives us a great chance to actually go to the Euros next summer.
Right, Carl, Alan's cutting around about it. So who are the Rangers players in the squad? Obviously Chelsea and Nicky touched on. I think we've got 4 in, haven't we? Is that right?
Jenna, Nick, Chelsea, Brogan. So no Kirsty McLean, which is weird. I assumed she'd get picked, but wasn't. Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, the Kirsty McLean one for me is a bit weird. When I know she's not long back from injury, but she's a lot further down the road from injury than Chelsea is, and Chelsea's in the squad. I find that all a little bit odd.
That's Pedro for you.
That's true. I forgot he was still the manager. So okay. So are you going to the game, Cara, on Friday night in Leith? I better not say Edinburgh in case she's.
I haven't actually decided yet. I didn't go to the last one, so I'm thinking maybe that's an omen that I shouldn't go, and maybe they'll have the same result at Easter Road where I'm not there.
Yeah. Alan, you heading across?
I was going to, but my shift's been changed, so I can't make it. So I'll try and watch it on telly.
Okay, and there's Donald joining us all the way from. I think he's still over in France. Maybe he's not actually. He's got a delivery of merchandise. He's maybe back from France. Him and his boy. So Donald, good evening. How are you? So that's it from us for tonight. Just a short show. Only one game to talk about. It wasn't the greatest, but we're one, so you can't argue too much with that. Don't want to keep Alan too late because he's on the main pod at 7:30. He's doing Brian's job tonight. He's doubled up as Brian's out celebrating his brother's 49th birthday with him. So happy birthday to Brian's brother. Although I know Brian's brother won't be watching this because he I was going to say bats for the other team, but that would be wrong. He supports the other side. So, but that's just one of those. I think he just did that to spite Brian, and it always tickles me when Brian tells me that. So we will have a week off next week because we won't have anything to talk about. Because as you've noticed, my interest in Scotland team is negligible. Although there's a very slim chance I might be at Easter Road on Friday because Demi's going, and if she's going on her own, I'm going to go with her because I get back into Edinburgh at tea time from Nice. So if she's going herself, I'll go with her. Save her driving up the road on her own. I'm that kind of dad. I'm quite a thoughtful dad. So if you do go to the game, Carl, maybe see you there. If you don't, then enjoy it. I'm sure you'll be watching it. And we shall catch you all on the other side, folks. Thanks very much for joining us. I say no women's rabble show next Friday because next Monday, because quite frankly, we'll have nothing to talk about. I'm all over the place. I'm just going to say good night.